Hello and welcome everyone! Why didn't the bird cross the road? Because it was a chicken! I apologize for making such a foul joke. Today we are making chicken fingers, also known as chicken strips. Whether as a snack or as a meal, these crunchy chicken fingers are tasty eats. For today's recipe you will need 4 large or 6 medium-sized boneless skinless chicken breasts, 3 cups of breadcrumbs. Regular or panko crumbs work equally well, but panko results in a much crispier crust, 4 large eggs, and 1 heaping cup of flour. In addition to those ingredients, we will also need some spices. I will be using the following ground spices: 1 teaspoon of parsley, 1 teaspoon of sage, 1 teaspoon of rosemary, 1 teaspoon of thyme, 1 teaspoon of marjoram, 1 teaspoon of savory, 1 teaspoon of celery seed, 1 teaspoon of ground mustard, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, and 1 tablespoon of seasoning salt, though you could also use Cajun seasoning instead. Those are just the spices that I like to use. Feel free to use anything you like. Now, in addition to the strips themselves, you'll probably also want to make some dips. 2 of our favorite dips are lime dip and honey mustard dip. For lime dip, you will need 5 limes, 1 cup of Miracle Whip, 1 teaspoon of either sugar or honey, and pepper to taste. For the honey mustard dip, you will need 1 cup of Miracle Whip, 1/8 of a cup of yellow mustard, 1 heaping tablespoon of Dijon mustard, 1 tablespoon of honey, and optionally you may also want to add 1 tablespoon of whole mustard and 1 heaping teaspoon of hot mustard. First, we're going to begin with making the dips so that their flavors can develop while we are cooking the fingers. Starting with the lime dip, carefully remove the peel from the limes with a knife. Once that is done, squeeze any juice from the peels. Next, segment the limes. Slide your knife in next to the membrane on either side of the segment and remove the limey goodness. After the segments are all removed, you can squeeze the remaining membrane to collect any remaining juice. Next, we add 1 cup of Miracle Whip to the lime segments and give it a good stir, making sure to break up the chunks so that they are more evenly distributed. Once it is mixed together, add in the teaspoon of sugar or honey and some pepper to taste. Then mix well until it is all combined. For the honey mustard dip, start with 1 cup of Miracle Whip. Then to that, add the yellow mustard, Dijon mustard, and the optional mustards if using them. Mix them all together well and then stir in the honey. Once it is all well combined, taste it. If you think it needs more of anything, go ahead and tweak it to your taste. Now we'll move on to the chicken fingers. Combine all of the spices. I like to give them a quick grind in my mortar with my pestle. First, mix half of the spice mixture into the breadcrumbs. Then put them in a shallow dish. Next, we're going to mix half of the remaining spice mix into the flour. Then we are also going to set that out in a shallow dish. Finally, the last of the spices will be beaten into our eggs. This way, every layer of the crust has lots of flavor in it. Now prepare your chicken. Take the chicken breasts and, if included, remove the tenders from them. Then cut the breasts into strips. I like to do my best to cut across the grain of the breast so that each chicken finger is nice and tender. Once all of your chicken is cut up, the messy breading process can begin. Firstly, dredge the chicken strip in flour, making sure to coat it entirely. Then, dip the chicken strip into the egg, again making sure it's entirely coated. Finally, place the chicken strip in the breadcrumbs. Then cover it with them and press lightly to make sure it's fully coated. Shake off any excess and transfer the finished strip to a tray. When all of the strips are prepared, we can begin heating our oil. I like to heat my oil in a cheap countertop fryer, since it's much better at keeping a consistent oil temperature, but you can also do this in a pot on the stove. We want the oil to be at roughly 375 degrees. Though if you find the chicken fingers are browning a bit too quickly without cooking fully, you can lower the temperature as needed. Then, working in small batches, we are going to fry up the fingers. The cook time varies, but for me it takes about 5 to 7 minutes. Rather than relying on a set amount of time, Be sure to check the chicken with a meat thermometer to make sure it hits 165 degrees Fahrenheit before you remove them from the oil. Once the chicken fingers are at the correct temperature, we can remove them from the oil and dump them out onto some paper towels to remove the excess oil. And here we have the finished chicken fingers. The panko crumbs give them a super crispy crunch, far better than any fast food chicken strips, if I do say so myself. I especially like the tangy lime dip with the crunchy chicken fingers, because the citrus helps to cut through and balance the fried flavor. I hope these chicken fingers will inspire you to give them a go. If you like this video, then be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so that you don't miss any future treats or eats. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.